And welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us today on this finally free for all Friday. We're looking at temperatures right now near 70 degrees with a variation in cloud cover around the FM metro. If you want to be a part of the conversation today, ask some questions, have some fun with us, give us a call on the Red Wing Shoes shoe line. That's 701-293-9000, or you can utilize an email inbox, weather or egg at flagfamily.com, as well as those comment boxes available there on Facebook and YouTube Live. Bridgette, how are you doing today?
Really good, Justin. How about you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's a little breezy up here in Grand Forks today, but I think it's a little breezy all over the place today.
Well, that might just get this garden situation to gray off, and you're way ahead of me. I'm hopefully, maybe going to get mine planted here today or tomorrow.
Yes, I got mine. Everything's in except the wind's kind of been hammering on the poor plants. They're not quite used to all the hammering, but they're still upright mostly. They're doing
Right.
good.
I mean, you tried to toughen them up with a fan, but that's not completely perfect when it comes to getting them ready to transplant outside.
I don't think we've had more than 1 or 2 days where it hasn't been a gust to 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. you,
Hmm.
you try and put them outside to get used to the wind, and they just get ripped off the table from their little 4-inch pots because they don't have any weight to them.
Well, this is why even like the ones in the ground, I've got them in buckets. I cut the bottom out of a bunch of buckets and put them around as wind protection because they just need that kind of stability right now in these very breezy North Dakota days.
Indeed. I wish this is something I need to look into. Someone brought this up to me about a week or two ago. Just in terms of, on average, where this spring has been setting up in terms of wind speed. And, it's never something I've thought about before. We have average temperatures, average highs,
Mhm.
average lows. We have average precipitation, but what's the average wind speed for Fargo? And over the last so many months, where do we stand with what that average speed of the wind has been over the last 30 years or so? It'd be interesting to find out because it feels like it's just been abnormally windy. And don't get me wrong, I get it. It's North Dakota. It's windy all the time up here. It just seems like it's been a little more than it has been in years past.
No, I don't know that I would say that. I think it's probably about the same. Look, I have maybe done this a little bit longer than you, and that is have a lot of bad hair days. So I'm pretty used to the fact that the wind up here is bad all the time.
Yeah, I've only been up here for, what is this? This is my ninth year, I think. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like the wind has just been a little more than the last four
A
at
little,
least.
little more difficult. Okay, so is this wind going to stay up through the weekend, or what are we headed into?
Well, of course, it ain't going anywhere. It's North Dakota, Bridget. It's
Hmm.
always windy. But
Fair
no,
enough.
it's not. It's not going anywhere over the next few days. A 10 to 20 mile per hour steady wind. We'll get a few gusts throughout the afternoons that are a little stronger than that. So you could say 10 to 25 if you want to give it a large range over the next few days. Generally, we'll probably see a wind sustained at about 10 to 15, and then again gusting at times 25 miles an hour. But temperatures are mild, Bridget, and today is dry for the most part. Tomorrow is dry, and that should help alleviate some of the extra moisture in that ground you got there, so you can till up your garden. Because you haven't tilled it yet,
That's what
have
I
you?
am. Actually, it just got tilled not 2 nights ago, so that's finally done. I don't have to worry about preventive plant acres on my garden
Hmm.
right now, although believe me, strongly considered it. So it's moving right along at this point. How's that sound?
Did you get your big chunks to get tilled up like you were hoping to avoid? Did it do
Yeah,
okay?
it tilled up nicely. With the hard packing rain we had. Well, I shouldn't say that. We were able to avoid a hard packing rain. When we get those, what'll happen is because of our soil structure here with so much clay, it'll pack into like concrete. So thankfully, a nice smooth rain is a whole lot better than when it all comes in a big rush. And actually, yesterday we had a fair amount of rainfall. I got home to a gauge This was right before about supper time. My gauge had about a third of an inch of rain in it. So I'm not sure if everybody else got that, but it was a little storm moved through here.
Yeah,
And it
most
wasn't just a
most
little storm
places
like your son.
indeed. Most places had about a quarter to a third of an inch, but it really varied quite a bit over a very short range, in fact, where North Moorhead came in at about zero point 0.4 inches. At our studios in South Fargo, we were at about an inch and about an inch and a quarter over into West Fargo. So it just, not a very far range from West Fargo to North Moorhead, uh, an inch in variation in how much rain fell. So there is a good little contrast around the area, but just about everyone saw a quarter inch. I had 0.44 up in Grand Forks. So again, another a little bit of unnecessary rain that we needed to, or we ended up getting. We got a caller here. I believe it's on line one. Is it Trucker Al? Al, welcome to the show.
Hmm.
What's going on today?
Hey, so your tomato plants, what I do is get them 5 gallon jugs of water that come in water dispensers, cut the bottom
Mm-hmm.
off of them, and put that right over the top. It's good for the month, and then until it gets a good root started, and then you take them off, and you got your own greenhouse right there.
Yeah, they're
Perfect.
like a
That's a
great
great
heat dome,
idea.
Al. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
your
it
Well, I
works.
plan.
It
appreciate
works
the
really
tip,
good.
Al.
Yeah,
I'll have to try that out in the
yeah.
future. I just
Right.
grabbed mine, and mine were about oh man, 8, 8, maybe 10 inches tall. So I ripped the bottom branches straight off of there, and I dug a 6 inch hole, and I just threw the whole thing in there until there's about 5 inches sticking out of the ground. So 3/4 of my tomatoes are buried right now, and for the most part, that's keeping them right in place. But otherwise, yeah, they would have been. They probably would have snapped in half. So my squash have snapped some leaves off already because of the wind.
But that's what you're supposed to do is bury them pretty deeply
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yep. So
Now, on the other
vertically
hand,
or horizontally, I've been told.
yes, either one. So, on the other hand, we've got folks that talk about no mow May, wanting to leave more than enough flowers for pollinators. All right, let's take a little look at that. No mow May originated in the UK, where they have native species of pollinators in their lawns. We don't have that here. And so, really, experts differ, but it's not necessary to do no mow May. What you're doing is providing habitat for ticks and other disease-borne insects, so I would probably stay away from that. With the rain that we've had, our mosquito population is about to take quite a jump. And additionally, I look at the pollinator species that you want to have in your lawn. You would probably wind up having to do some interseeding in order to get that accomplished. Dandelions really aren't for a pollinator. They're okay, and bees will go to them if you don't have something else. So, this is my personal opinion. I would rather mow my lawn, but plant better flowers for my bees. That would probably be the way to go.
Indeed. And I let my lawn get a little out of control, mainly because my schedule and dry days did not align at all. So my grass went about
Right.
2, 3 weeks through the end of April to the middle of May, where it didn't get cut. I think it was, oh man, I don't know, 7, 8 inches tall. It was absolutely ridiculous how long the grass had gotten in that amount of time. And I went through and I chopped it all down one day. Rabbits made dens in my yard because of how long the grass was. They're like, oh, this is a good spot. And they dug a couple holes and they have babies in them.
Well, they're better than having ticks. I had
Indeed,
a
it is.
homeowner from Grand Forks call and was concerned because even with keeping the lawn well mowed and maintained, dogs are carrying ticks into the house. And so double check your animals as well. It's not just that they came in attached to your pant leg, they might be coming in with your pets as well.
Yep. And then your dog lays on the couch and the tick jumps off and you sit down and he jumps back on. Interesting
It
how all
seems
that
like
happens, isn't it?
it's a rather terrible cycle, I'm afraid. So might
It's
want to try
not
to
good.
break that
Hey,
up.
hey, we're not still worrying about that what is it, the Lone Star tick, are we? The one that was being found down on the East Coast and working its way northwest into Uh, Central
I
Mississippi
think
Valley or
I think it's the longhorn tick,
Longhorn?
and
Yes.
if you're talking about the one that when it bites and it re-injects its saliva into you, it will cause an allergic reaction to red meat. Is that the one you
Mm-hmm.
mean?
That's it.
Yep. Actually, they are. We are still seeing that moving around quite a bit. You are starting to see more states that are reporting instances of seeing that tick. I'm really hoping that we don't have to have that problem here because we're just ending May is beef month. And again, I'm a big fan. I'd rather not overlook beef in any way possible, much less any other red meats. And so, to those who suffer from it, I'm sorry. I'm sure that that is not what they were going for. And like any tick disease, it probably brings a whole lot more problems with it than just simply the allergic reaction that you might get when it comes to red meats, etc.
Right. And I know you weren't sleeping in your pathogenics class that you just recently took. Is this a temporary thing or is this a permanent disease? Is this something that just goes away with time? Can it be curable? Or is it for the rest of your life you're dealing with this?
So for some folks, it stays through the long term. For others, it can be a temporary. I think that really depends on your overall health situation and how you're doing in response to that. Think of it like this, any virus that you have, and I'm going to go back to the West Nile virus as an example. It affects each person differently. For
Mm,
those who may have underlying health concerns, it's going to be more of a detriment to your overall health than to someone who's probably fairly healthy and will have more short term effects. But nonetheless, each one is a little bit different. It's unfortunate, though, whether you have a temporary situation or a long term one where you're sick and ill from a tick or a mosquito.
hmm. All righty. Well, thank you for the update on that, Bridget. If anyone wants to call in and really talk about anything you want to today, give us a call on the Red Wing shoe line. 701-293-9000. Emails to the program are weather at flagfamily.com or ag at flagfamily.com, as well as those comment boxes on Facebook and YouTube Live. Like I said, we'll kind of take any topics we want to talk about today. If you got tips on gardening, you want to tell us something you just got your garden in, what you're looking forward to growing in it this year, feel free to do so. A few of the ag topics we're going to be running down as we head throughout this hour coming up after the American Ag Network is a little bit on livestock emergency response, some seminars, dates that are set, as well as the North Dakota State FFA convention that's coming up next week. And Bridget, I know how much you enjoy FFA and so many others do around here. So we'll learn a little bit about what's going on with their convention coming up. Uh, Also, Barbie is teaching students apparently. So we'll touch on that as
She
well. All
is.
of that, including a check on the weather after the American Ag Network. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Weather Nag in Focus. And I want to say thank you to Lisa Peterson. She's with NDSU Extension, and Lisa's been listening. And Justin, your question about longhorn tick, well, Lisa's got some better answers for us. So she said the ticks are still actually a huge issue in beef cattle in the Carolinas, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. The issue is that they will spread something called thiriosis, which will cause severe disease in the cattle. So it's not just about humans. Colleagues of hers are reporting they're having fire ant infestations, but they don't have the longhorn tick issues. So much appreciated that Lisa knew all of those things and was happy to reach out. I know she
Mm-hmm.
really connects with a lot of people to the East Coast, and frankly, she's one of my news stories for today.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
why don't we?
So
I got a good segue right there into it then.
So, Lisa, thank you so much because I wanted to talk, well, specifically about something that you do, and that is NDSU Extension in cooperation with the Department of Ag, Department of Environmental Quality, and the Vet Diagnostic Lab are hosting a training on response preparedness for foreign animal disease and mass livestock mortality accidents in North Dakota. So here's the situation. If you are rural fire department, sheriff's department, or any other EMS, if you have a situation where, whether it's in the winter on icy roads or wind storms, maybe you have horse trailers that have overturned or large cattle pots, bull racks, whatever you want to call that size trailer full of livestock, and you have an accident scene. What do you do? As a driver on the highway, Justin, what's your first response if you see an accident that might involve some livestock? What would you want to do?
Ah, man, I'm gonna sound like just a terrible person by saying this, but I'd probably just keep on driving if I'm being honest.
It's okay, and especially if you didn't know exactly what you should be doing. So, one of the things that you might want to think about is if you are in law enforcement or local fire departments, if you come across that accident, NDSU can help you learn some of the basics. For instance, don't just use that first instinct of running up and opening the trailer door, because now you not only have potentially hurt and disorientated animals, they could be a little angry. And I've been on the receiving end of 1,200 pounds of mean when been chased by a cow, and nobody wants that.
Hmm.
So remember that it comes down to, what do you have to do to secure the scene? Don't just let them out of the trailer to roam into oncoming traffic. That would be tragic. And then additionally, if you have injured animals and they have to be euthanized, how does that happen? What could be the situation? In fact, I had a chance to sit down and visit with Lisa recently when we were at CattleCon in February in Orlando, and she said they have a colleague in Minnesota that was, a vet was called because there was an accident scene, and the vet needed to euthanize some of the injured livestock because it was fatal. Well, law enforcement pulled up and thought it was an active shooter situation because here
Mm.
you have someone with a gun and they don't know exactly what's going on. So, this type of training is fantastic. It's going to be held June 11th and 12th in Carrington. If you are interested in participating, why don't you drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com. I would be very happy to give you the link to sign up and how to find it.
Yeah, I think that would be some good information to have. I mean, I feel like in most cases, if you're driving and you see it, there's an accident or whatnot, I feel like most people are just gonna keep on driving, especially if it's post accident. I mean, if you see something happen in front of you and there's no one
Mm-hmm.
else there, of course, stop to see if the person is okay.
Right.
But I would have no
You
idea
got to
what
make
to
sure.
do if with animals and whatnot, just besides seeing if the person was okay. But if this is like a post accident or you're driving and you see someone in the ditch, there's someone else there, I don't think I would be really of any help at all in that kind of a situation.
Well, do you want me to sign you up? Would you like to attend? Because I have a feeling you might have a really good time doing this and learning more.
When is it?
June 11th and 12th out in Carrington.
Why does June 11th sound so familiar? That's a Saturday.
It's the
Oh,
middle
no,
of the
that's May.
week.
That's May. All right, that's a Tuesday. We might be able to make that one fly.
Okay, I'll
Bridget,
see
are
what
you
I can
going
do
to
to
it?
get you there. I'm not sure that I will be there that day. I might have some other things I want to take care of, but We will.
You traveling
I do
somewhere?
know that possibly. Is there a storm coming?
Well, I'm just going to assume that there is, and if it's distance, watch out wherever you're going. I know it's June, but the
And I'm
snow
once
likes to
again
follow
responsible.
Bridget. Hmm.
Yeah, if you go
Yeah.
through the Summit, South Dakota area, it could happen at any time. We all know that.
It's just, you just go somewhere in the middle of June, it starts snowing everywhere you go.
It's just me.
Well,
That's what
at this
does it.
point in the year, I think we're done with the snow. Although, what is it? August is the only month that hasn't technically
Yeah,
snowed in our
but
area. I don't think we'll have to worry about that the rest of this year.
but do you remember that derecho that went through South Dakota 2 years ago in May? Yeah, I
Yes,
had
I
just
do
passed through
remember
there.
that. The skies
Yeah,
were
I had just
green.
passed through there. And right after I was gone, the derecho passed through. I had just left the Beardford, South Dakota area and got to Omaha and got a call from the friend I'd stopped to visit who said, "Boy, it's a good thing you got out of here. I just had a lot of damage to my farm." And I'm thinking, once again,
That
I know
is
why.
one of the wildest photos and video I've ever seen come out of a storm, especially of a storm like that, where you are looking up into the storm and it's green. And I'm not talking about just, oh yeah, the sky is kind of green or it looks like it's green. It's probably really bad. I mean, it looks like something straight out of the 100 or Dragon Age Inquisition where it is just neon green in the sky. And it's, I don't know, it was the wildest thing. Um, I'm actually going to see if we can find a picture of that. And Addison, I'll send it to you here in the break so we can pull it up just because it is gnarly. And since we're on the topic of storms and weather, we'll do a crack on the forecast coming up after bottom of the hour news because there are some storms in the forecast, and we could have some severe weather through the weekend and even possibly Tuesday of next week. So we'll run down those details. And if you want to call in with a storm story or say some freak wild thing happened in a storm and you got a story you want to share with us, 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing Shoes phone line. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. Thanks for joining us 133 on this finally free for all Friday. Before we left there, we were talking about that derecho that went through South Dakota a couple of years ago in 2022. I guess it was just a little over exactly 2 years ago. And just talking about some of the craziness that happened in that storm, and I sent some photos over there to you, Addison, of the skies that had turned just neon green, basically. If you want to throw a couple of those up, Bridgette, I've never seen this happen to this degree in a storm before, and the photos are kind of pixelated and blurry because apparently I sent very small files over to Addison, but that is just onto another level of eeriness if you were to see that coming towards you. And this third photo was a DOT camera that picked up this next one. I mean, it's so green that the water on the ground is reflecting it back up, and it just looks like a green fog. Just just something else. Bridget, I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that with all the nasty weather that follows you around.
Not that one, but it's pretty wild what they saw that day. I mean, you wouldn't have expected all of those types of things, but yet it was early in the season. That had been just, I think, 18 months before that. We'd had another derecho that touched down in Iowa, but they didn't have quite the same look of it, if you will.
No, definitely not. And if you got a wild storm story or something crazy that happened in a storm, whether you're driving through it, it's on your farm, your operation, a bad storm that kind of wiped out your crop for the year, what ended up happening with it, feel free to share with us. We'd love to hear it. 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing Shoes shoe line. And
Hmm.
hopefully we don't have to worry about too strong of storms in the immediate future here for our area around Fargo, because we do see a couple of chances for some severe weather breaking out up here in the northern plains and over into Minnesota. One on Sunday and a second one on Tuesday. I'll run down the details here in a moment. But what's going on today? Not too bad out there. We're looking at a little bit of sunshine mixing in with some upper level clouds. That's associated with some showers or a few sprinkles to our south from northeastern South Dakota over towards Fergus, Alexandria, up towards Wadena. We'll see those staying to our south for the most part. I can't rule out a pop up shower here or there around Fargo today. I don't think it's very likely, and I would say 99% of us won't see any rain up here at all. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 70s. It's currently 71 with a west southwest wind around 10 to 20. Currently, that wind is at 10 miles an hour here in Fargo, but gusting a little stronger than 30 up in Grand Forks. So as you drive north, those winds will get progressively a little bit stronger. For tonight, a few showers up in the northern valley. Otherwise, it looks to stay partly cloudy around Fargo. We'll drop down to a low near 52, upper 40s, low 50s around our area. The wind will go lighter as well, only gusting to about 10 or 15 miles per hour at times. And tomorrow for Saturday, looking like a beautiful day. Sunny start to the day. Will go partly cloudy through the afternoon. Mid and upper 70s. West winds 10 to 20. Again, a few gusts a little stronger than that throughout peak heating in the afternoon. And as we head into Sunday, we got a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather that was issued from the Storm Prediction Center. What we're going to watch for is on Sunday afternoon is for scattered storms to start developing in eastern North Dakota. And as we head through the late afternoon, those will kind of form into a line of storms and push more into Minnesota into Sunday evening and then Sunday night into central Minnesota. So you're kind of getting the track of these storms. For the most part, it's going to be, say, a west northwest to east southeast trajectory of these storms. The main concern with them is going to be wind, probably gusting as high as 70 miles an hour, and then hail to about an inch and a half in diameter within the strongest portions of those, or I should say within the strongest storm. Not every storm is going to produce 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but the strongest ones will have potential of doing that. So it's something we'll keep an eye on. It's kind of our, what would that be, our second risk for severe weather, I guess, up here. Our second solid chance,
That's,
at least, for severe weather.
yes, but 70-mile-an-hour wind seems excessive.
It sure does. It definitely does. But now hear me out on this. It's better than an 80-mile-per-hour wind.
Well, I'll take that. Yes. That's true.
Does that make anyone feel better? I don't think it did.
Probably not so much,
No.
but because remember, you got to can't let those things happen right over our cornfield. Because in our custom farming project this year with Here We Grow, we've got 20 acres of corn that we are raising here as a group. So Dean, Justin, and I are in charge of making sure this gets done. The weather and ag folks are on it for you, and the profits at the end of that project are going to be donated to Farm Rescue. Thank you to sponsors that are with us, like Pivot Bio. They, in fact, will be bringing product to the field to help improve our corn yields because Justin thinks we're going to hit the records higher than ever on average, is what you're telling me.
The
Maybe.
highest on record on average ever.
Yeah, he wrote them down. I'm in for 195 bushel an acre myself.
Yep. Dean shooting for 2.
Justin's a little higher.
I'm going for
And
225.
go big or go home. And
That's right.
also thank you to Foltz Buildings. They are part of this project as well, and we greatly appreciate all the work that they do for us, but also in this region, folks. Foltz Buildings is one of those that come to mind as soon as you start to think about building something, especially on the farm, and so thank you to them as well. Now, earlier you made mention, Justin, of Barbie helping to teach kids. Well, here she is. Barbie, the sow, has been a part of classrooms in Sioux Falls, South Dakota at the Career and Technical Education Academy. So Barbie came in on donation from Pipestone Farms over in Minnesota, and this gave students the chance to actually farrow this sow, meaning that they put her in her crate and she was able to give birth. The kids were there to help with a live birth. There was one
Wow.
stillborn, but 18 piglets happened right during class. Kids also then went on to help give shots, dock tails, castrate the males, and much, much more. It's been quite the learning experience. These students also had a goat that was pregnant, and they helped to deliver the kids. One of the kids did die after the fact, but that absolutely stands out as to what really happens in farming. Oh, and I have a listener who just sent a quick message. He's in for 205 bushels. So as soon as we have our contest draw, you might say,
Oh,
where we're keeping track
205.
of who's got what bushels, we already got a 205. So you'll have to write
Yeah,
that down. I'll have to send you that in Slack.
send that to me in Slack. I'm gonna see actually if I
Okay.
can pull that up really quick, and then that way I can just add them straight into that.
Okay.
And that's
You,
something that
you,
maybe we'll find some days. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Bridget.
no, you finish that thought, and then we got to go to Oscar, who is on line one.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so I was just kind of talking about that contest for those of you who have no idea at all what we're talking about trying to guess these bushels. We did this with soybeans last year where we tried to guess what our average yield was going to be on a per acre basis over our 20 acres. And whoever came the closest to what the actual yield was in bushels per acre took home a productive alternative rain gauge after harvest. And we're going to do the same thing this year for our corn that we're growing. So we took, this was 2 weeks ago, I want to say it was. I'll have to probably search for it over our next break because I can't talk and type at the same time because my keyboard's too loud. But
That's okay.
we could maybe take a few callers later today, but I think next week we have time to where we could dedicate a whole segment again to where we just take call-ins to guess, and you can get
We
entered
could.
in that competition to see if you could win yourself another productive alternative rain gauge. But why don't we head on over to the Red Wing Shoes shoe line, 701-293-9000. We got Oscar on the line. What's going on today, Oscar? How are you?
Well, hi, kids. How are you all doing today?
Hey, we're doing wonderful, man. It's good to hear from you again.
Say, I know I get off your subject a little bit, but you all got your gardens all in yet?
Mine is in.
Not yet.
Bridget's is tilled.
Okay, have you planted your tomato plants?
I've got all my tomatoes, my corn, my peppers, and everything in between.
Okay, well, I'm going to take you back to the 50s. When I was a young kid growing up, I'm an old fart, okay? My grandma, when we had our garden, she planted a marigold between each tomato plant.
And then down the
Yep,
middle
I've
of the
heard that.
rows, about every third one, she had a marigold. Because back in those days, we didn't have chemicals and all this stuff to put on there. Okay, that was non-existent. And, you know, we raised
So,
the best
Oscar,
tomatoes because yeah, go ahead.
okay, you're exactly right because marigolds actually give off a natural insecticide that helps to push away insects that would otherwise bother your tomato plants. That actually has been located by other companies and synthesized, and so it had that marigold. Uh, I don't know what to call it, if I want to call it a scent or whatever it might be, but
Pheromone.
that actually pheromone, it's actually been used commercially to help prevent
Oh,
insect
okay.
problems in
Well,
fields.
like I
So
said, there,
Oscar's
that's
on the
what we
right
did.
track.
We had stuff we put around the edge of the garden.
Mm-hmm.
It was a chemical. It was a strong chemical. You can't buy it today, but my grandpa did put a little roll right around there that would keep grasshoppers and all these bugs out of your garden. And also, the
Hmm.
next thing I'm going to throw at you, because my mom used to can about 100 quarts of tomatoes, okay? And
Hmm.
towards the end of the growing season, when the tomatoes are green, pretty well filled out, Grandma would pick so many plants and put Epsom salts on them, okay? And they made the sweetest tomatoes. So much sweeter than a regular tomato. I don't. We probably didn't have 100 varieties like we have today, but they made the best eating tomatoes over one that didn't have Epsom salts on. And I've done this. I've done this for years when I had a garden up here too. Is with the Epsom salts, and that was an old thing. I guess to come over when the Norwegians came over here from Europe. You know.
That's
So I
right.
just thought I'd pass that
Well,
on today.
Hey, well, appreciate it, Oscar. Thanks for calling in.
I had time to do it
thanks,
today. So you
Oscar.
kids have a good day. I'll listen to the rest. Okay?
You
Thanks.
as well, Oscar. Appreciate it. Kind of tying in along with that, I've seen other folks do that where they plant the marigolds, uh, almost like a fence of marigolds around their garden, to help keep different insects. And I've even heard I don't
Mosquitoes,
know if it
even.
was
Yep.
marigolds or if it was a different plant, but they actually planted them to keep the rabbits away.
Now that you
But
say
I
that,
don't
it might be
remember what it
chrysanthemums.
was. Maybe
When you
that's
just
what it
said that,
is.
I had said marigolds to Oscar about using that for more of a commercial insecticide. It might have been chrysanthemums. I better check. Also, Nicole emailed us and she said that long grass for no mow May, not a good thing because it also encourages mice as well as other rodents. So she's on the same page you are, Justin. She would
Hmm.
not like
Yeah,
to have that in her
I had a
yard.
whole litter of bunnies, whatever you want to call them, a bunch of them. Four or five actually made a nest in underneath our tree because our grass was so long. I was talking about that earlier. Um, there was one thing else. You sent me something a couple of weeks ago about things to pair with your garden that you plant. You should plant these things next to these and plant this next to your tomatoes. Uh, I can't remember what they all were, but I think one was to enhance, and then there were other ones to help repel things away from them. I'll have to see if
Insects.
I can find that list again because it was pretty interesting.
Go look. It was a kind of a garden hacks type of thing, and I did send that to you off of one of the news briefs I get. I'll have to look if I can find it now too. That's the thing when it's a free for all Friday. We think of all these things, and then we gotta go hunt them down because we're just sort of doing this off the cuff. You just never know what we might talk about next. So,
Yes.
well,
Hey, Bridget,
we
just
will.
before we go, do you have Chad's number?
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Send it to me. I found the spreadsheet. I have everyone's phone number on there so we can call them at the end of the year because I doubt everyone will probably have that opportunity to hear us 1 to 2 in October when we harvest this. But Chad, I got you down for 205 for
Okay.
guesses.
All right. I will go find the number that you need.
All right. Well, why don't we take a quick break here? When we come back, we still got an egg topic. We still got check on the forecast, and maybe our last few minutes, if we have them, we'll take a few callers for guess the yield of Here We Grow corn 2024. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. Thanks for rejoining us 150 on this finally free-for-all Friday. We are a few short hours away from the weekend, looking like it's going to be a fairly good one, with an exception for some strong storms likely to develop on Sunday. We'll get a full rundown on that forecast coming up here in just a few moments. But we have a caller on line one. We got Mike on the line. Mike, what's going on today?
Hey, you guys listen to your show. It's really good. I liked the one yesterday with the grenades and the dynamite.
That was a fun one, yeah.
But I'd like to put a number in for you. I'm looking at, for the corn yield, let's go with 197.7.
197.7?
Yeah.
All right. I like the number. Mike, what's the first letter of your last name?
W.
W. All right, Mike. Well, appreciate it. I got you put down, all right?
Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for calling and listening. You as well. Awesome. There we go. Fun. Got another entry into the Guess the Yield. I guess we can take some callers now. If you want to call in, I'll try to get to everybody. If we get too many, you might have to call in another day, but I'll try and get to them. But in the meantime, while we stack a few callers up or whatnot, Bridgette, why don't we wrap up the rest of the ag topics we got for the afternoon here? And I think the last one is just talking about North Dakota FFA.
They're on their way. Next week is North Dakota's FFA convention in Fargo, Monday to Thursday. You will see the Blue Jackets all over NDSU's campus as roughly 1,500 students, parents, guests, and advisors will be present. They stay in the dorms. They conduct business at the Benson Bunker Fieldhouse, and they'll be there with doing their meetings that are on the agenda because each chapter brings delegates to help vote on state business and policy, and as well as bylaws. They'll be doing their career development events, which are basically their contests. You may see kids in the lockers at local meat shops as they do their practice sessions before they go in for meat evaluation. There's a farm business management contest. They'll also be doing other evaluations like dairy cattle. I think horse judging already happened. So there's a number of things that students are doing. There is a state talent program, state choir and band, and all of these things will come together next week. The culmination of the event is the election of the new state FFA officer team for 2024 to 25. I look forward to greeting those students when they are elected and for their year to serve.
Very cool. Very good. And when did you say this was coming up again?
Next week, we'll be there Monday through Thursday. I won't be there every day, but I know I'll be stopping in. There is a parent and sponsor banquet Wednesday night. Get a chance to greet all of those who have earned their state honorary FFA degrees. And I think I have an award ceremony to be at, and also going to just check and see. I might be judging a contest too. So just a few things to do next week.
I see. Are you going to do any live commentary from the show during our show?
I think there might be a real good chance. So, in fact, this morning when I was on air for the Need to Know Morning Show, Jay Thomas mentioned, if he had his FFA jacket, he'd haul that out and let everybody see him in it. But alas, Jay doesn't know where his jacket went. So, too bad.
No. Can't he get like an honorary one remade, or could he get a replacement for it? Are you SOL if you don't keep care of it?
You're kind of SOL on getting the jacket back. So for right now, I know where mine are.
All right.
They're in a good spot. So are you getting lots of guesses over there? You're knocking them down left and right, I would bet, on the phone lines. So thanks to all the people who are wanting to call in and give us their guesses.
For sure. Yeah, no, phone lines are quiet right now, but we got 2.5-3 minutes if you want to call in quick. 701-293-9000. I got open lines. If you want to try to, if you want to give us a guess to maybe win a rain gauge from Productive Alternatives, guess the yield on what our average yield is going to be on the 20 acres of corn that we're growing just east, literally a stone's throw away from Harwood. If you have a really good arm, it's like 20 miles or so. But anyways, if you want to guess what our average yield is going to be, we can get you squared away here. And when we get that answer, we'll reveal it in October or whenever it is that we end up harvesting it. And if you are the closest or right on the money, win yourself a rain gauge. And I think we have about 15 people or so already in here. It looks like we got John here. John, what's going on today?
Not too much. Just running around getting stuff.
Okay.
What's your guess?
198.6.
198.6. All right, John. Appreciate it.
It's going to be a good year. So.
Sure is. We like those numbers. We like them when they're close to 200. Thanks for calling and listening, right, John. Appreciate it. And it looks like we got Arden. Arden, what's going on today?
Not too much. Just doing some planting in my garden here at home.
Yeah, what are you planting?
Oh, nice.
We got some snack-sized peppers that go by the name of mini candy cane reds. So
wow, look at that. Sounds delicious.
I'll throw a guess then for the bushel guess for the corn.
Yeah, what do you think it's going to be?
Is there any like a shelter belt or anything around it?
Nope, it's wide open. This is nope, there's no shelter on this particular field. It's up against Clay County 26 on the north end. We're open both on the east and west ends. You're not going to see any trees anywhere close by that 20 acres right now.
Okay. Has anyone guessed 215 yet?
I do not see a 215 on my list, no.
Right.
We'll go 215 then.
All right. I like that number.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Arden. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. Well, there we go. Got through a few more people entered, and we'll do this again throughout next week, and we'll probably continue to do it throughout the summer, be my guess, or at least periodically here or there. So be listening each day. You never know when we'll be accepting more guesses. And I got a full rundown on the forecast coming up here with the Jay Thomas Show coming up in a few minutes. Basically, the rest of the day, just kind of a variation in cloud cover, more sun north and west of Fargo, low to mid 70s, a little breezy, a little windy up in the northern valley. Tomorrow, another nice day, sunny skies, mid to upper 70s, still a subtle breeze, gusts to 25 out of the west from time to time, and a likely chance for some scattered thunderstorms to develop on Sunday and a Sunday evening. A few of those storms could be strong to severe, so we'll keep an eye on it throughout the weekend. We'll be ready to break in with live severe weather coverage if the need may be. But Jay Thomas Show's coming up next. I believe we got Justin from the Lakes in there. I see him trying to hijack the computer from me, so it's all yours, Justin. We'll be hearing from you here in just a few moments.